In a world filled with screens and distractions, we invite you to reconnect with the natural world around you. Welcome to Nature Bound, a podcast dedicated to unpacking the intrinsic bond between humans and nature. We'll uncover the benefits of spending time outdoors, including how a nature-centric lifestyle can improve your mental health, elevate your leadership skills, and unleash your creativity. And now here's your host, outdoor enthusiast, and renowned author of The 7 Principles of the Magic Rock, Emanuel Rose.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, this is an exciting episode. I get to talk about being out and fly fishing, and I've been fly fishing my entire life, and I had the luck of having my grandfather and my father and my uncles as my teachers and guides, and got to hear the wisdom of the old guys. And my grandfather in particular was very committed to keeping the fly in the water. He said there's no blankety blank fish in the air, so make a cast. He also had some other things where he'd say, if you're going to cast like that, you've got to yell mule train. And so yeah, we had some tough lessons, but it helped. It helped me learn the sport, and I've fished all over the U.S. and some internationally, and I've hired lots of guides, and I like to fish with guides because it takes some of the pressure off, and I don't like to fish with guides because there's a lot of goofballs out there. I've had the guides show up late. Had guides send me out to go fishing by myself while they got the boat set up in a spot I didn't know anything about. Had guides set me in a sand hole trying to in slack water while we were steelhead fishing. But fortunately, Jake Clark doesn't match any of those stories. He is a very compassionate and knowledgeable fly fishing guide. And what I appreciate about Jay is that he knows these pieces of water very intimately, and he also has a wide range of techniques that he is willing to teach the clients to do. Of course, being an orthodox fly fisherman, I like to watch the eccentric techniques, and I stick with the dry fly. But Jay is very experienced in teaching all the different styles. So welcome, Jay. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Well, thanks for having me, Emmanuel. It's great to be here. Just a little quick background about myself. I've been fishing pretty much my entire life. I took up fly fishing in my mid-20s, early 20s. I don't know. It's been a long time now. I started my guide service in 2006, and it's been a very interesting and fun way to make a living. I'm blessed because I get to meet so many incredible people, such as yourself, and just being out there sharing my passion is what it really is about for me. And I love fly fishing, but that's not why I guide. I guide because I love teaching and I love sharing information with people. Nice. And I'm glad I'm not one of the guides in your opening monologue. I'm sure I am for somebody, but it's not everybody's favorite flavor. But what I like to do is help people, and I like to share.
Nice. Yeah. No, that comes through. Yeah, I've enjoyed the times you've been out on the water, both the rivers that you guide, and then also on Pyramid Lake. So
yeah.
Enjoyed all our time together.
Yeah, they were fun.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to fishing with you again this spring.
Absolutely.
So we're in the kind of the last throes of winter, and I really like to fish squallows. Are there squallows on the Feather?
There are squallows on the Feather. I went out yesterday to scout around after the storm, and the only squala I saw was a spent one on the snow. I
Yeah.
didn't see any on the water at all yesterday, but it's not surprising. Water temperatures have dropped back down a little bit. Um, uh, they're starting to show in numbers on the Truckee. They were before the storm, and I was seeing a few before the storm on the Feather, but they just weren't attracting the fish just yet.
Yeah.
I
It's still
expect that
early,
to
right?
change.
What's the water temp was? What did you say? Like 38? Was it
It
that
was
low?
38 yesterday,
Yeah.
and before the storm, it had come up to 45 for a day. So it's a pretty drastic water temperature swing. The fish are adjusting to it. There weren't many bugs out yesterday, unfortunately. I did catch a few fish and talked to a buddy who did pretty well fishing streamers. So uh,
Nice.
that's always fun.
What kind of water temp are we looking for to get kind of that first good spring hatch going?
The middle feather warms up a little bit faster. Once we hit the 40s, I mean, we've had good dry fly fishing over the last month on the feather. Some of the best I've seen this time of year, and the water temps were 38 to 40 degrees. I think right now the biggest issue are the flows that are coming up. The Portola gauge this morning was over 500 CFS, which means down in the Clio area where I've been spending a lot of time, it's going to be 650 or above. And so
Yeah.
the fish are getting pushed to the edges. There's not a lot of access at the moment, but if you're willing to walk and you're willing to fish the slow boring water, there are definitely some opportunities at the moment.
And then kind of what's the premium kind of flows? What's the range that you're looking for, for
I like
best fish?
I like it when it's under 300 on the Portola gauge, even under 200 on the Portola gauge for the upper stretch of the river, because then you can start crossing tail outs and you can actually get out and access a lot of the water by being in it. Um, once it gets under 100, it gets pretty bony up there in that stretch. But what that allows, it opens up more water down in, the Two Rivers area, Camp Lehman area, Sloat area, which right now flows were over 1,000 CFS this morning down in that area. So that's
Oh,
big,
yeah,
pushy water.
big water. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then is this one that's a dam release? I didn't.
No, that's one of the lovely things about the Middle Feather is there are 3 dams on 3 of the creeks that feed into it, but they
Okay.
don't affect the flows all that much. So it's not a dam release. It's not a tailwater. It is definitely a freestone river. But there are a lot of feeder creeks that will affect the flow, especially as
Sure.
you get down towards Gray Eagle and then above Two Rivers where Jameson Creek comes in. That'll almost double the flow.
Gotcha. So is it summertime? Does it get too bony to fish up in the upper
It
reaches?
it can, yeah. In most years, by the end of June, middle of July, somewhere in that frame, sometimes the end of July, um, the water will get really, really low in the upper stretch and starts to warm up. The water's always off color. It has a tannin stain to it
Okay.
from coming through the Sierra Valley. And so it's always a little bit off color, and so it warms up quicker. That darker water retains heat a little better. But the bigger issue is when the ranchers start pulling water for irrigation, it'll
Sure.
kill the flows on the upper river. And at
Yeah.
that point, there's a lot of great water down, below where Graygle Creek comes in, down where Eureka Creek comes in, and Jameson. Those all add to it, and so the flows down that I like to fish at, the areas I like to fish at down further in the Camp Lehman area are definitely better when the flows are around 100 CFS on the Portola gauge.
Yeah, I got you. So the feather gets a little stained from tannins. Where are the tannins coming from?
They're coming from flowing through the Sierra Valley, all of the agricultural aspect to the Sierra Valley ag runoff, but also the vegetation that it's flowing through in the Sierra Valley as it gathers together and
Gotcha.
forms the middle feather.
You ever see any wild turkeys on the feather?
I have not seen wild turkeys on the feather yet. I wouldn't surprise me though. They're starting to be around more and more in this area.
All right. Well, that's another story. Let's see. All right, so let's just talk through to me about kind of what the first hatches are that we're going to expect for this one.
Yeah. So early season hatches. We already mentioned the squala stoneflies are the first large bug of the year. They are starting to appear. Blue-wing olive mayflies have been steady. They're throughout available throughout the winter time, depending on water temperatures. Pardon me. The next big hatches will be the golden stoneflies, the pale morning dun mayflies. We'll start seeing caddisflies sometime in May, early June-ish. Then we'll have yellow sallies,
Nice.
which those are a lot of fun, especially when they're midday.
That is one of my favorite hatches, is the sallies.
Yeah, I love the sallies. Those fish will attack them recklessly. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I really love about the feather is the fish are really willing to eat a well-presented dry fly. There's a lot of great dry fly fishing available, and so that's really fun.
Yeah, I remember that. We had one epic evening where we were throwing mayflies at what must have been 110 rising trout all around us.
We did. Yeah, that spot can be very good for that evening dry fly bite. I actually went back there after I fished there with you guys and got one of the best fish I've ever caught on a dry fly on the river there.
Yeah, I believe it. There were some big pigs in there that were
yeah. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to take a little sidestep here. If you've been following along on my social media, I posted some things about a train derailment on the middle feather.
I did see that. Yeah.
That happened right at that spot that we're talking about where you fished. Cars went into the river right there, and did put 3 cars worth of coal into the river. Mitigation's taking place. It'll be hard to tell what the long-term effects of it are. Ever since the accident happened, we've had high water. So I don't know if they have been able to get the coal out of the river or if they've even attempted to. My biggest concern is what that will do downstream to the spawning beds and to the bug life. So hopefully it doesn't do anything, but it's something I'm definitely going to pay attention to in the coming seasons down in that stretch.
Yeah, that's too bad.
But,
well, we know though that they're pretty committed to water quality in general for those kind of accidents. So
yeah, and the state's been good. Their response was fast. The railroad's response was fast. So they are doing what they can. Like I said, hopefully it's not a long-term detrimental thing to the river, like what happened up on the upper Sac back in the day when they had the train derailment and it basically killed the river for a while. I don't see that happening here, thankfully. So
but there'll probably be a little bit of a restep period. You'd have to.
Yeah, there will. And once the water comes down and clears up, I plan to go down and take a look with my own eyes and just see what it looks like. I haven't gone down there yet, but at some point I plan to. So,
well, that'll be good. We'll look forward to hearing from you and what you see.
Yeah.
So then that's kind of the spring. What's on the menu for the spring, and then is there? Do we have any other big bugs that hatch in spring?
Yeah, the next big bug after the squala will be the golden stoneflies, and
gotcha.
They'll be the next one. And the great thing about this river, once we start getting these hatches to go, the fish are remembering. Even if their bugs aren't out, fish are looking up.
Sure.
And they will eat a well-presented dry fly, a big dry fly. I love fishing a dry dropper because of that fact. And this winter, I've been surprised by a number of decent fish that have come up and eaten the big dry fly when I did not expect it. So
I know you learned that lesson. I learned that lesson on the McLeod, right? I was indicator fishing on the McLeod, and I kept having fish come up and grabbing my indicator. Like, okay, that's the no win. We're just gonna throw the big bugs at them.
Yeah. It's funny. I had that happen with a client last June on the upper Little Truckee where it dumps into Stampede Reservoir. We were in there indicator nymphing, and we caught some nice lake run fish in the river. And all of a sudden, fish eats his indicator, and it holds on. We're fighting the fish on the indicator.
He wasn't going to let it go.
and here comes the indicator right at us. We were ducking, trying to get out of the way.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and so of course we switched to a dry dropper and didn't catch anything on the dry, but we
Yeah,
did catch more nymphing. But yeah, it was
that's
really fun.
cool.
I almost got one
Aggressive.
on the indicator. That would have been something else.
Oh, that's great. So we got some golden stones.
Yes, yep.
All
Golden
right,
stones are
those
our
are nice.
next big one, and then, like I
Yeah,
said, the PMDs and the caddis and the sallies will be mainstays throughout the summer.
gotcha. And so it fishes pretty good until the water gets too
Too
low.
warm, yeah. Last year was the first year in my 18 years guiding um, that I was actually able to fish on the middle feather in August. Water temps, we had
Wow.
enough
Yeah.
good water and water temps. They were in the mornings, they were okay. By 1 o'clock, they were too warm to safely catch and release. Uh,
Yep.
but it was a shock to be able to run trips in August this year. That was
Sure.
something really new, and I really enjoyed
That was
that.
pretty dramatic snowpack last year, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was
How
truly
much over
incredible.
normal was the snowpack?
I don't know the percentage. I just know that spring came in June last year.
Yeah, right.
And this year, I think it's gonna be a little bit earlier. I mean, this last storm really dumped a lot of snow in the high
Wow.
country
I'll say, yeah,
and quite a bit of
hundreds of
snow at
inches.
lower elevations, like, where
Yeah.
I'm at in Sierraville, it's just under 5,000 feet, and we got
Yep.
anywhere from 2 to 3 feet of snow, which is it's down to about 6 inches of snow now because the ground is warm underneath, and so with the longer
Oh yeah,
days and the warm ground, the snow is gonna melt off fairly quickly, and it is running off, so, I think our spring runoff is gonna be a lot earlier than June this year.
sure. Yeah,
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping.
yeah. And then so in the fall, is it some rainwater come in and help push up the flows and make and create fishing again?
It does. Also, the other thing in the fall that happens when the ranchers quit pulling water for irrigation, that helps the flows come up a little bit too.
Okay.
Then
Yep.
that water is actually flowing down the river. And typically in the fall, if I've had to pull off the river due to warm water temperatures, um, I usually most years I'm able to get back on sometime in early September when the water temps will start dropping. We start getting those cool nights in September,
Yep.
and that really helps. And it also helps depending on how much water we get during the summer. If we have a kind of wet summer like we sort of did last year, we had a little bit more rain. It helped
Yeah.
perpetuate the longer, slower release of the snowpack, and that was good.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We always hope for water, and especially when it's not a tailwater.
Yeah, well, this is the Sierra. It's feast or famine.
Yeah.
It's just how it is here.
And so let's see. I think we caught primarily rainbows. What's the roster like for a fishing the
Um,
feather?
yeah, the fishing on the feather is mostly for rainbows. There are brown trout, um, and we've been seeing some pretty nice ones over the last year or two. I actually had a client last June catch one that was, I don't know, 21, 22 inches. We never measured it. It was a
Right.
big fish. It was a really,
Yeah.
and that one ate the big dry, fishing the
Nice.
dry
Yeah.
dropper.
Gotta love
Surprise.
that.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great. Yeah, so we're seeing I'm starting to see more browns in my catch rate. I'm typically getting at least one or two a day. I didn't see any yesterday, but the previous time I was out, I landed a couple. A buddy of mine who's been fishing midweek on his days off from his shop, he's caught a number of real nice ones this winter, tight
Nice.
lining nymphs and streamers. So
Right.
it's nice to see more browns available.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So anything, what changes in the fall once
So
for you?
yeah,
Yeah.
the fall, water temperatures start coming down. Fish start putting on the feed bags, as they say, because they are preparing for winter where there's less food available. And so they will start feeding heavily. The hatches in the fall are a little bit more sporadic. We do have the Isonychia mayfly in the fall.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of best way to describe it. It's a little bit more like a sort of a mahogany dun almost color, a little more brownish. Um, So it is available. So there can be some good dry fly fishing. The nymphing is good in the fall because, we have hatches of baetis and midges daily throughout
Right.
the year. And so fish are looking for blueing olive nymphs. So I do fish a lot of baetis nymphs in the fall. And also, I may sound like a broken record here, but I fish the dry dropper a lot. And there's
Sure.
reasons why I fish it. It's very effective.
Yeah.
And so I do fish it a lot, and they will come up and eat the big dry. But there are nice dry fly opportunities in the fall on the Isonychias, as well as the blueing olives and midge, depending.
No October caddis though.
They're around, but I've never really had much success with them on the feather. But they are around. I have seen their shucks, but I don't know. Maybe they're just not in great enough numbers where they really matter to the fish as far as a food source. I'm sure they
eat on them. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, they're opportunistic, especially something that big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
Some
good.
days I feel like they would eat a cigarette, but if
Yeah.
it was presented well enough,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's like that Al Truth story where he hooked a fish on the sock link.
Yeah, it can be like that for sure.
But yeah, that's the rare day for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's good stuff, Jay. I
Well,
appreciate the calendar and the hatch.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I talk about a little bit more too, because it is a really new fishery, is the winter fishery on the middle feather. The regulations changed a couple of years ago. I think this is the third year it's been open for the winter. And so it's learning a new river. This winter, it's been fabulous. Last winter, it wasn't so great. It was hard. Access was bad, and it was big for really, really big for months. The winter before, I was able to find some fish, but the water temps were super cold. So it's fun learning this new fishery, and I look forward to sharing this fishery with people in the future because, the thing I love about the Feather River is the solitude. We can get out, and midwinter, it's pretty much guaranteed you won't see another fisherman on the water. You here and there, if you're like at one of the major access points, you might see a couple of cars, but it's pretty minimal. And for me, that's something that speaks volumes, is being able to go out and have the solitude that I'm seeking, and to be able to commune with nature in the way that I prefer to.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And usually when you run into those guys, they're guys you want to talk to anyway.
Absolutely.
They have the same disease.
Yeah. They're definitely there for the similar reasons. And there are a few hardcore people that I run into on the feather in the winter. So
yeah. And so you're able to throw like a little switch rod at them, or what do you do?
Yeah, so I swing flies a lot on the feather with trout spay. So I've been using a 11-foot 4-inch 4-weight. It's an Orvis Clearwater.
Nice.
I've got it set up with a trout spay line from Rio, and I can run tips off of it, floating tips, sinking tips. So I do love doing that. That is one of my favorites. And so I do that technique a lot, especially if I'm by myself and I just want to thoroughly immerse myself into swinging. Swinging is one of my favorite things to do, and I don't get to the coastal rivers to fish for steelhead very often these days.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I can get my fix on the feather doing that, and it can be very productive. The most fun I've been having this winter is swinging soft tackles on a floating tip through rising fish.
Yes.
It's just you swing flies, the
oh yeah, no, I think the soft tackle is doesn't get enough press,
I would agree.
It's beautiful. They're beautiful flies, and the fish like them as much as we like them.
And it's something I've fished on the feather for a long time, especially in the summertime in the riffles. Swinging a soft tackle in the fast riffles in the summer you can have a lot of action doing that. So it's really fun. So I just love swinging flies.
Well, it's cool that you got a year-round fishery that you get to enjoy, and you get to bring people in to enjoy with you. So good for you. It's awesome. I look forward to our trip in May, and I'll keep it on my radar for next winter after duck season ends.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Duck hunter, you got to get out there and do the duck thing. I get it.
And so your website address is jclarkflyfishing.com?
That is correct. jclarkflyfishing.com. I'm in the process of having it rebuilt, but the old site is up and running, and all my information is there. Links to my socials are on there as well. I do Facebook.
What's the Instagram handle? Tell us the Insta handle.
Instagram handle is at jclarkflyfishing, and my Facebook is jclarkflyfishing. So pretty easy to find.
The Insta posts have been good this winter. It's been fun to stay in touch with you.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been working on that. I have a love-hate relationship with social media, but I recognize the importance of it as a marketing tool. And so that's one of the things I dislike about social media is that's what it's really become, is more for marketing than how it used to be, where it was, friends, sharing stuff with friends, which is fine. Things change. So I'm starting to embrace it as a marketing tool, and I'm learning a bit more about it as a marketing tool. That's the hardest part for me in all of this is the marketing. I'm good I'm good behind the scenes, getting my stuff prepared and being professional and being ready for a day on the water. It's the marketing that gets me, but I'm learning.
Right. Yeah, no, that's good. Well, thanks again for taking some time this morning.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you thank the people who are listening. And we're looking forward to some more episodes coming up around wintertime camping and around driving in the snow. And
people need to watch that.
And another episode on how to get your kids or grandkids outside so that they want to put their smartphone down and go and do something.
That's important stuff right there.
Thanks again, Jay. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just going to say thanks again. And
thank you.
Remember to get outside and get nature bound.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Nature Bound. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Be sure to purchase your copy of The 7 Principles of the Magic Rock at EmanuelRose.com or on Amazon. We thank you again for joining us today, and remember to get nature bound.